Yeah!
Prepare to compete in 30 seconds.
Hey, yeah!
30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck.
Get over! Hey, nice shooting it! Go! Alright, you feel good. I'm not even winded.
Nice shot! Paino! It's fine!
Think it like a man, shorty. Moving out! Go on, get it! There's a spy over here! That freaking hard-hat's a spy!
We have taken the enemy intelligence. intelligence.
Thinking like a man.
The enemy intelligence was returned to their base.
I'm moving this. I need some help. Medic! No. Thanks. That soldier is a spy.
We have taken the enemy intelligence.
Good shot!
Little help.
Thank you!
Those land rhythms. All land rhythms. Medic! Come on!
We have taken the enemy intelligence.
Eagle! One of ya!
We have dropped the enemy intelligence.
Yoshi noticed a bit of anger in Mario's voice and tried his best to stand up. Mario, I don't think this is gonna work, said Luigi. Yoshi's just not trying hard enough, said Mario, and he kicked Yoshi sharply in the sides. Yoshi yelped and stood to his feet, wobbling a little. He kicked Yoshi again, and he took a few steps before stopping again. Then Mario noticed Yoshi's ball hair and had an idea. Mario swatted the flies away from Yoshi's scrotum and grabbed a hair. He yanked the hair out, and Yoshi howled in pain and started running full speed out the door. Mario held onto Yoshi as hard as he could as he ran down the street. Watch out! Mario called to a group of Toad children playing, but it was too late. Yoshi continued forward and trampled them, leaving bloody footprints in his wake. Mario took off his hat and bowed his head in respect. Although they did deserve it for playing in the middle of the street, said Mario, Yoshi was now making his way through the park. They passed by the place where Yoshi and Wario had their anal fun.
We have dropped the enemy
Dead Koopa and Goomba bodies were nowhere to be seen now, and the only signs that anything had happened here were a few scorch marks on the ground. Yoshi's pace was starting to slow down. Mario reached down to pull out another one of Yoshi's scrotum hairs, but he was having a hard time. Yoshi's nutsack was so moist with sweat, and so were the hairs, which slipped out from between Mario's fingers. Mario used his dry shirt sleeve to dry Yoshi's sack and pulled out another hair. Yoshi squealed and quickened his pace again. After 5 minutes, he slowed down again, and Mario figured it was time for a different approach. Alright, Yoshi, stop, Mario called out. Yoshi screeched to a halt and fell to the ground, panting. We made some good progress, but we're not there yet, said Mario. Yoshi looked warily up at Mario and shook his head before it flopped down onto the ground again. I know what you need, said Mario as he began stripping naked. Mario stuck his dick into Yoshi's nose and pissed. Yoshi panicked at first and shook his head around to get Mario's dick out, but Mario grabbed and stroked Yoshi's head reassuringly. Yoshi finally calmed down as the piss made its way down Yoshi's nose and trickled down his throat. Yoshi popped a bonus so fast it hit Mario in the knee and he lost his balance, tumbling backwards onto the ground. His dick wildly spraying piss in all directions. Yoshi helped Mario to his feet and pointed at Mario's wiener. Sorry, Yoshi, I'm all out of pee, said Mario. Yoshi sighed and lowered his head, then perked up and pointed to Mario's wiener, Mad King making masturbation motions and opening his mouth and pointing at it. No, Yoshi, you don't get anything else until we get to the store, said Mario as he got dressed again. Mario took his time getting dressed to torment Yoshi. Finally, he butted at his overalls and hopped onto Yoshi's back. Yoshi, now fueled by the pee and the prospect of semen, was now able to stand underneath Mario's weight and began running at full speed again. 10 minutes later, they approached the store. The sign on the front of the building said, Birdo's Bitchin' Store. Yoshi skidded to a halt in front of the door and flopped onto the ground panting. He grabbed Mario's crotch and opened his mouth. No, Yoshi, not now. We have to get the food, said Mario. Yoshi sighed and stood up and the two of them walked in. Mario grabbed a cart and Yoshi playfully hopped in it. Yoshi, get the hell out, said Mario, pushing the cart over. With a crash, the cart fell to the ground and Yoshi slid across the floor, knocking over a display of douches. Bad Yoshi! Screamed Mario. He ran up to Yoshi, his face red with anger. The whole store was now watching the two of them. Bend over, he said through clenched teeth. Yoshi squealed with delight and bent over, wiggling his ass around in front of Mario's crotch. What Yoshi expected was not what he got. Mario kicked Yoshi in the ass so hard, bits of poop came out. Yoshi's boner died as quickly as it had sprung to life, and he went sliding across the floor again, this time into the wall. Mario kicked the air to flick the poop from his shoe onto some of the other shoppers. What are you all staring at? He said. The show's over. Scram! Beat it! Yoshi's head perked up at the words, beat it. The other customers resumed their shopping as if nothing had happened. They knew that if you fucked with Mario, you get fucked. Literally. Yoshi, get over here, said Mario, and Yoshi quickly got up and ran over to his master. Alright, Yoshi, no more fooling around here. We're on a mission here, said Mario as he started rummaging through his pockets for the shopping list. Don't tell me I forgot the shopping list, said Mario as he turned his pockets inside out and even checked underneath his nutsack. And surprisingly, there it was. The ink was a little smeared from sweat, but it was still legible. Good boy, Yoshi, said Mario, and he gave Yoshi a pat on both of his heads. Mario grabbed the shopping cart, and Yoshi resisted the urge to jump in it. They took off down the aisle to get the first item on the list, corn. The two of them walked down the corn aisle and looked over all the different types of corn. Mario handed Yoshi an ear of corn and said quietly, "Here, eat this quick." Yoshi obeyed this command and swallowed it in one bite. Now poop, ordered Mario. Yoshi happily obeyed and pushed hard and produced a smelly log of poop. Mario examined the log and poked through it. A good amount of corn has passed through. Mario, yes, this'll be fine. And he began piling corn into the cart. Mario crossed corn off the list and looked at the next item while Yoshi chowed down on the shit. Alright, Yoshi, next we gotta get some laxatives, said Mario, and off they went down to the laxatives aisle. Mario pursued the different brands of laxatives and picked one out. Super Pooper Industrial Strength Laxatives, huh? He said as he stroked his chin. Comes in 3 fun flavors. Poopy Peppermint, Crappy Cranberry, and Feces Fun Fruit. Mario thought about this before calling Yoshi over and placing a Crappy Cranberry laxative in his mouth. Yoshi stood there for a few seconds while Mario stared at him. After 6 seconds, Yoshi shrugged and Mario sighed. So much for being industrial strength, he said. He was just about to put the box of laxatives back on the shelf when suddenly Yoshi clutched his abdomen and fell to his knees. He ripped a loud fart and his asshole opened wide to let out a torrent of liquid poop. This wasn't just diarrhea, which usually has a bit of texture to it. This was like water, only brown and smelly. The shit water was beginning to form a sizable puddle on the floor. Yoshi, stop! Ordered Mario. Yoshi managed to clench his asshole shut for a few seconds, but it quickly burst open again, sending a high-powered stream of shit 4 feet behind him. Yoshi, stop! Bellowed Mario, but Yoshi just couldn't stop it. Mario rushed behind Yoshi and tried to force his asshole shut himself. He plunged his fist straight into Yoshi's asshole. Mario felt the pressure building up from within Yoshi's ass. Mario felt the shit water slowly pushing his fist forward. Yoshi himself was beginning to swell up like a water balloon, but with shit. Mario noticed this and quickly pulled his fist out of Yoshi's asshole for the fear of Yoshi popping. With Yoshi's anus now free of blockage, a high-pressured stream of shit gushed out straight into Mario's chest and sending him flying backwards. Yoshi was beginning to panic. He had never shat this much before, and he spun around in confusion, spraying the shit water everywhere. Mario got up off the ground and tried to run towards Yoshi, but slipped on the shitty floor and fell forward. He got up again and spat out some shit, but then licked his lips and put some more shit in his mouth and tried to make his way over to Yoshi. Yoshi was scared and confused and didn't know what to do. He pointed his ass up into the air, and a stream of shit flowed up and hit the ceiling fan, making a shower of poop. Yoshi's feces fountain began losing some of its pressure, but the flow still continued on. Screams could be heard throughout the store, and Mario was certain he could hear sirens in the distance. Yoshi, we gotta get out of here, man, said Mario. Yoshi bit his lip and pushed as hard as he can and let loose with a loud fart that sent a huge wave of diarrhea shot out of his ass. He sighed with a look of great relief on his face as a few drops of poop dripped from his asshole. With the flow of fecal matter now stopped, Mario and Yoshi ran away from the scene of shit, but not before Mario piled some boxes of laxatives into their cart. We gotta get as far away from here as possible, Mario said. After running down a few aisles, Mario could still hear the sound of shit dripping. He looked over his shoulder and noticed that Yoshi's anus was still leaking shit. The trail of shit stretched from the main disaster area all the way to where they were now. Mario grabbed a box of tampons from the shelf and handed it to Yoshi. Yoshi stuffed a few of the tampons up his arse to stop the flow. He and Mario continued running away towards the other side of the store when they turned a corner and found themselves face to face with a couple of cops. Whoa, what's with the hurry, kids? Asked one of the officers who had a visible wet spot on the front of his pants. The other officer placed his hand on his gun and chewed his gum menacingly. Mario quickly tried to think of something to say. I asked you a question, kid. Quit jacking off and answer me, said the officer. We've heard reports about a massive amount of shit somewhere in the store. You kids wouldn't happen to know anything about this, would you? He asked the other officer. He eyed Mario and Yoshi, who were both covered in shit. Well, now that you mention it, officer, there did seem to be a bit of shit in that laxative aisle, said Mario. In fact, that's what we're all running from. The two cops glanced at each other. Alright, kid, why don't you take us to this laxative aisle since you seem to know so much around here, said the wet officer. Yeah, sure. Come on, Yoshi, said Mario. They turned around and were about to start walking towards the shit area when the cop suddenly yelled, Hold it! Mario and Yoshi stopped moving. What does your green friend have in his arse? Asked the cop. Mario started turning around when he heard the sound of a gun cocking. Mario froze and said calmly, They're tampons, officer. Slowly circled around Mario and Yoshi with their guns pointed at Yoshi's ass. The wet cop got close and examined Yoshi's ass. He gave it a sniff and drew back, gagging. The other officer went up and pulled the tampons out. They were brown, smelly, and dripping. He twirled them around a bit and little droplets of poop fell onto his face. He spat out his gum and put another stick in his mouth and said, Alright kids, you're coming with me. He grabbed Mario and Yoshi and dragged them down the aisle. The cop led them silently through the store. He took them to the tampon aisle and searched through different brands of tampons. He found a box and handed it to Yoshi. I found this to be the best brand of tampons to get when you've got a case of the old wet and nasties, he said with a chuckle. Mario just stood there confused. He thought he was being arrested. Go ahead, try 'em out, the cop said to Yoshi. Trust me, they work great. And he pulled down his pants and turned around to show a tampon string sticking out of his ass. Johnson, pull up your pants, said the other cop as he joined them, now with a bigger wet spot on his pants. He noticed Mario was staring at the wet spot and said, Yeah, I pissed my pants a lot. Do you want to make something of it? He pointed his gun at Mario's dick. No, said Mario, covering his dick with his hand. Alright, now take us to the shit. Damn it, Johnson, I said pull up your pants. Johnson, who was showing Yoshi the proper technique to stick a tampon up his ass, sighed and pulled up his pants. Damn, would you look at all this shit, said the officer as they approached the shit zone. The wet spot in his crotch grew even larger. Hey, Peters, you're pissing again, said Johnson, but Peters just shrugged. He turned to Mario and said, Alright, kid, you say you didn't see who caused all this shit, is that correct? Mario stroked his chin and then his dick. You know, now that I mention it, I think I did see someone, he said. Mario cleared his throat and said, I'm certain I saw a man I know named Wario running away naked with shit dripping from his arse hairs. The cops huddled together to discuss this. So, we're looking at charges of public indecency, public shitting, and going unwiped, said Peters. He's probably gay too, said Johnson. Yeah, you'd have to be gay to do something like this, said Peters as he wrote down the charges. So that's 4 charges if we can confirm he's gay. He's looking at quite a few years in jail, possibly death penalty. Do you happen to know where this Wario fellow lives? Asked Officer Peters. Well, actually, officer, I don't think Wario has a home, but I know that every Sunday he goes down to the library and shits in the children's reading area, said Mario. That part wasn't a lie. Wario had been doing that for years and hasn't been caught once. What in the fuck? Exclaimed Officer Johnson. Don't worry, son, we'll get this guy locked up and behind bars, said Officer Peters, patting Mario on the shoulder. And he and Officer Johnson ran off to apprehend Wario. Mario sighed and wiped the sweat off his forehead. That was a close one, he said. Yoshi sighed too and wiped the sweat off his balls. Alright, Yoshi, let's see what's next on the list. Mario said as he took the now shit-covered list out of his pocket. He turned the list around and flipped over it a few times. Shit, there's too much shit on it. He threw the paper onto the floor in anger. Yoshi tried peeing on it to wash the shit off, but since it was diarrhea, the paper had absorbed it. It's okay, Yoshi. We'll just have to do without the list, said Mario. He and Yoshi walked up and down the aisles, picking out products at random. Some of these products went into the cart, while others Mario had Yoshi to lay his eggs later so he could sneak them off without paying. They started walking to the checkout line when they passed by the restrooms. Yoshi sniffed the air outside of the door of the men's room and tapped Mario on the shoulder. Mario sighed and said, Okay, Yoshi, but make it quick. He opened the door and Yoshi happily rushed into the bathroom, sliding on the pee-covered floor. Yoshi lapped up a small puddle of pee underneath the 2 urinals before drinking out of the unflushed urinals directly. Hey, Yoshi, there's some piss in the sink too, said Mario. Yoshi squealed in delight and ran over to the sink to drink that up. Yoshi finished drinking out of the pee sink and looked at the stalls. He sniffed the air and decided that the first stall smelled appetizing and headed for it. He kicked open the door and lifted the lid of the toilet. A bunch of flies flew out and Mario caught a whiff of something foul. He peeked into the stall as Yoshi began chowing down on the contents of the toilet. At first, Mario wondered why the inside of the stall was brown while the outside was blue, until he noticed the walls were dripping. It wasn't brown-colored, it was shit-covered. Mario watched as Yoshi cheerfully slurped at the walls of the stall and returned them to their proper blue color. After he finished with that stall, he hopped over the wall into the neighboring stall. From the stall came a shout, Yo man, what the fuck? And then a scream. Mario crawled under the wall into the other stall to see what the hell was going on. He looked up to see Yoshi biting down on the arm of a black man. Yo, what the fuck you doing, man? Screamed the black man, flailing his arm around to get Yoshi off. He spotted Mario pushing himself under the stall and screamed again. Yoshi bit off a chunk of his arm and chewed happily before spitting it out in disgust and puking on the black man. The black man jumped over the stall door and tried to run out of the restroom. However, since the floor was wet with urine, he slipped and fell to the ground, cracking his skull on the hard floor. Yoshi helped Mario to his feet, and they walked out to check out the black man. A puddle of blood was going underneath his head. His pants were around his ankles, and his small wang was exposed. I thought they had big ones, Mario thought to himself. The flies that usually buzzed around Yoshi's ass now moved over to the dead black man. Yoshi had a confused look on his face, and Mario understood why. Yoshi, this is what we call a nigger. I know niggers are the same color as shit and even smell like shit, but they are actually not made of shit. I made that mistake too a long time ago, so don't be ashamed. Now let's get out of here before we get caught. He gave Yoshi a pat on the head, and together they left the restroom hand in hand. They walked to the checkout line where they were stuck behind an old woman who had shit her pants. Oh, my bowels just ain't what they used to be, she said to the cashier. Man, we've been talking about this for the past 30 minutes. Now, do you have any items for me to ring up or not? Asked the cashier, trying to suppress his anger. I don't have any money, said the old woman with tears in his eyes. Nobody will hire me on account of my bowels not being what they used to be. There was the sound of liquid hitting the floor. Oops, there goes the old bladder. Mario was beginning to get pissed off. He wanted to get out of this place before they broke any other laws. In the middle of the old woman's discussion with the cashier about her frequent sharding, he kicked the old woman square in the arse, sending the woman forward, and smelly shit splattering everywhere. The cashier heaved a sigh of relief and spoke into his microphone. Clean up at checkout 3! Then he noticed Yoshi was already eating up the shit and said, cancel cleanup! He gagged as the smell of the shit hit his nostrils and motioned for Mario's items. He began scanning Mario's items. When he got to the 20th box of industrial strength laxatives, he looked up intending to ask if this was some sort of joke. But as he laid his eyes on Mario, covered head to toe in dry hardened shit, he decided to just keep his mouth shut and quickly scan and bag the rest of the items. Alright, so that'll be $269, he said. No, said Mario. So what do you mean, no? Asked the cashier. I think I deserve a little discount for all the good I've done. Do you even know who I am? Said Mario with his hands on his fat hips. The cashier studied him for a bit, then shook his head. Mario wiped the shit from his mustache. Do you recognize me now? The cashier shook his head again. I'm fucking Mario! He screamed. Sir, either pay for the stuff or get out. There are other shoppers who need to be rung up. Mario would not stand for this. Let me speak to your boss, you little fucker, he said. The cashier left to get his boss, leaving Mario and Yoshi alone. Mario quickly opened the register and stuffed money into his pockets while Yoshi ate all the candy. Quick, here he comes, said Mario as he hopped back over the counter and stood with Yoshi, the two of them whistling nonchalantly and looking around. Alright, what the fuck is going on here? Said a male voice in a falsetto. Standing before Mario was the owner of the store, Birdo. Well, if it isn't Mario, where's your green butt buddy at? Yoshi hopped out from behind Mario and waved. I meant Luigi, said Birdo. Listen, Toto, I want some sort of discount, said Mario. Birdo laughed. Unless you've got some coupons, you aren't getting shit. Then he looked at Mario's shit-covered clothes. Well, I guess you already got the shit, he said, cracking up. I got a coupon for you, said Mario as he rushed towards Birdo and kicked him in the crotch. Mario removed his foot from Birdo's crotch with a smirk until he noticed it had no effect on Birdo. Birdo didn't fall to the ground clutching his balls. He didn't scream in pain and hop around. He didn't even flinch. Must have missed, Mario said to himself as he kicked Birdo in the crotch a second time, then a third time, then a fourth time, but still nothing happened. Mario scratched his head and lifted Birdo's cock to see what the problem was. Mario almost barfed at the sight of what he saw. Below Birdo's dick, which Mario noted was of exceptional size, wasn't a nutsack, but a moist, dripping vagina. Oh god, what the fuck? Shrieked Mario, jumping back and letting Birdo's dick flop back and forth over the vagina. So, you finally figured it out, said Birdo. Figured it out? What the hell, dude? I always thought you were just a faggot, screamed Mario. Birdo laughed maniacally at the shocked look on Mario's face just as he fingered his cunt with one hand and jacked his dick off with the other hand. If I do it just right, said Birdo with a moan, I can get...
Competition.